The steam packet company has come in for criticism over its cancelled bank holiday weekend sailing, and to add fuel to the fire, it's described the behaviour of some passengers as atrocious. I'm with one of the passengers who was on the cancelled sailing on Monday, Jackie Betteridge. Can you first of all talk us through your experience?
Okay, as you know, it's already running late. We'd had a horrific sailing going out a fortnight earlier, which I was going to complain about anyway. Got there, drove up from Cornwall in the pouring rain, got there in good time, was in the very first queue to get on, waited. It eventually limped in. You could see the steam packet leaping in, and then we didn't perhaps get on till about 5 to 8, and I think the sailing was supposed to be at 8 o'clock. Fine, fair enough, nothing unusual about that. Got on. At 8:30 they announced that they had a problem with the engine. And you know, when you have that gut feeling, you think this boat isn't going anywhere. And I'd already contacted people who I know had sailed on it prior to that and said, no, it's not in good health. I then thought I'd better phone my daughter and say, could you look to see if there is anywhere for us to stay in Liverpool just in case? Got my head around that was absolutely fine. She came back and said, actually Mum, because it's the end of the bank holiday, there are lots of spaces. Went on a well-known booking site and said, I think out of 130 odd rooms, there was something like 89 rooms, 89 hotels that were available. Thought, right, we don't have to worry about that. And it kind of went on. We had a few announcements, and I think about by 10:30, when they actually announced that, you know, we weren't going anywhere and they were still trying to fix it, I thought, right, it's time to get a clipboard out and actually go to people. Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to go up to Heysham? Do you want to actually, you know, book into a hotel? What are we going to do with all these young people that were on from the Leeds Festival? Get organised. No, absolutely nothing happened. And I'm actually quite an organised person, and it was driving me crackers. And actually the people around me were sort of laughing and saying, come on, we need a clipboard, we need to get this sorted. Everybody stayed in good spirits, everybody was incredibly well behaved. Some of the young people, because by now their mobile phones will have run out because they will have actually been, living in tents, had plugged in and were phoning home to mum and getting other mums to phone other mums to say, you know, this had happened. And then it just went on. Then eventually, it was 25 to 12, we had the announcement that we actually weren't going anywhere and that we needed to get off the ferry. And it came across that we could go to Heysham, or the steam packet would pay for accommodation for everybody. Didn't tell us how to do it. Nobody had any idea. So everybody trundled off going, well, how do you do this? Staff were conspicuous by their absence. God love them, there weren't that many of them. Went down to the car. I was asking people on the car deck, you know, the guys that park you, what do we do? And they said, no, it's fine, love, just go to the top, you know, it'll all be sorted. It wasn't. You went up a ramp, there was a lovely young man at the top going, you can drive to Heysham or you can book in a hotel. And I went, How? You're not telling us how to do that. And he went, oh no, you just drive to Heysham. And I went, but how will they know how many cars are going to Heysham? You haven't asked us, we're just doing it. Looked at the watch, it was gone 12 o'clock by this time, and I went to my husband, okay, we've got a car, we've got GPS, we've got fuel, let's get on with it. So off we headed. Going up the M6, obviously there's a lot of Manx cars going up the M6, and to say that perhaps people were going up there in a hurry is the best way to put it. I felt that was incredibly dangerous. By this time it was like 1 o'clock, sort of 1:15 in the morning. Arrived there. Heysham were doing the best that they possibly could, but there was no way that they were given enough time to organise staff, because they would have to turf staff out of beds, you know. And as a customer-facing service, it's not a service. Without us customers, they wouldn't have a service. So I don't accept Mr. Woodward's apology at all, because that's not an apology. And to say there was atrocious behaviour, that actually means horrifically wicked. And I would dispute that.
Did you see any bad behaviour from passengers? It would be understandable that people might get frustrated.
Absolutely not. Now, I can only see that from my point of view. No, we didn't. And having been captured, because we were confined for 4 hours. do you know what? I think we were very, very well behaved, incredibly well behaved. And visitors that were coming over for the Manx Grand Prix actually went, I don't believe that you're all so well behaved. Everybody is being very, very compliant, because I think Manx people who live on the Isle of Man are actually very, very compliant. We do as we're told. And it's almost an acceptance, isn't it, that the Isle of Man steam packet won't sail on time, or, you know, we accept the fact that we're in the Irish Sea, so we get the fact that, you know, sometimes things go wrong. But that boat has been, in my humble opinion, unworthy for the sea for the last couple of months.
So there are a lot of unanswered questions, aren't there? You know, you say
Yes.
that you're not going to accept the apology.
No.
You don't think the boat is seaworthy.
No, I don't.
We've had a lot of emails from the parents of some of the teenagers who were at the music festival saying that they were just left to fend for themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, I have got friends and colleagues who also had young people on there. And in fact, we actually had members of staff on there, and they said they were frightened. And where a company gets off allowing young people to be frightened, I think that's an atrocity. I think that is absolutely appalling. And I think, for me, my children, I've got grown-up children, my children have sailed on it many times. We've lived here for 30 years, you know. There's been a lot of awful sailings, but this has to be the absolute worst sailing ever. And the fact that we were treated so badly, almost with contempt, you could say. But if those young people's money is as good as my money, why were they not treated the same as everybody else?
What do you think about the statement that Mark Woodward issued?
Do you know, I find it very, very, very difficult, because as somebody who heads up an organisation, we always would investigate before putting out a press statement, because, let's face it, he wasn't on that boat. And therefore, there's some investigation needs to go into it before he makes statements like atrocious behaviour. I actually am appalled that that is allowed to have actually hit the press.